In Myanmar, the civil war continues to escalate. By now, the country is used to it, it seems. More than 7 decades of non-stop fighting, either the army versus ethnic groups or ethnic groups against each other. So what's different this time? Well, two things are different. One, the army looks weak, and two, the ethnic groups are united. The fighting began in late October. Since then, the rebels have made significant gains. Reports say 50% of the country is in their control. And the army? It's suffering setback after setback. Entire battalions have surrendered without a fight. So the rebels are on the charge. But all this fighting is worrying Myanmar's neighbors, India and China. We'll start with India. Reports say New Delhi wants to secure the Myanmar border, basically fence the whole thing up. But there is opposition. Right now, there is free movement at the border, a free movement regime. People can cross the border without a visa. Just one rule. You can't go beyond 16 kilometers. I know it sounds like a strange policy, but there's a reason for it. Hill tribes in the region have families on both sides, in India and in Myanmar. They needed the free movement. So no fences, no visa. Of course, the downside is this. Some 5,000 refugees have come to India since October. Many more could come if the war escalates. It's a tough call to make. The Chief Minister of India's Mizoram state has made his position clear: no fences. That's what he said. Listen to what he told the Prime Minister. I'm quoting, "The British had separated the Mizos by carving out Burma from India. That is why we cannot accept the border." So Mizoram is against this border, but Manipur is not. The state of Manipur has been ravaged by ethnic violence since last year. Their Chief Minister wants fences. He thinks it will improve the situation. Like I said, it's not an easy call. That's India's story. Now we come to China. Beijing also has a border with Myanmar. It's more than 2,000 kilometers long. Their fear is the same as India: refugees and spillover. This week, some of those fears came true. Stray shells from Myanmar hit a Chinese border town. Take a look.
乖乖，台風，我叫講到。
可好紧了！来了，不要吵架。哦。
你飞进来了啊！再在我前面有点，我操！再有人啊！
Beijing has lodged a diplomatic protest. It is asking both sides to stop the fighting. Listen to this.
China follows the conflict in northern Myanmar closely and strongly deplores the Chinese casualties caused by the conflict and already lodged serious representations with the relevant parties. China once again asks all parties to the conflict to reach an immediate end to the fighting.
This time, 5 people were injured. But what if there are more such incidents? What if the next one is deadlier? That is the worry for China. They may have called for a ceasefire, but chances are the fighting will continue. The rebels have momentum on their side. Today, they captured another city, Lao Kaing, on the border with China. And once again, it was a surrender by the Myanmar army. They put down their guns and withdrew. So I guess the obvious question is this: will the army be defeated? And if so, what comes next? Right now, most of the fighting is in the northeast, in the Shan state. That's where 3 ethnic groups have ganged up. Elsewhere, the fighting is limited. If that changes, the army may not stand a chance. Again, what happens afterwards? Democracy, elections, prosperity? Maybe not. These ethnic groups have their own fiefdoms. They may have committed to democracy, but their top priority is their own land and power. And how many such groups are there? More than 20. Imagine getting 20 groups to agree on anything. If this conflict is settled on the battlefield, all bets are off. Things could get uglier. But if the junta steps down, there is hope. We could see positive discussions. Surprisingly, that's what India and China have called for: talks and negotiations.